Keystone Middle School, not to be confused with Keystone Hangout, although they're essentially the same thing, is a Roblox school group. But is it really a school group? How has Keystone stayed relevant for so many years, even when Ed has completely died out? What is their secret? Well, this isn't something you really gotta think about. Simply break Roblox's TOS every single day, be as toxic as possible, and make your game appeal to the dollhouse, mic up, and the hood demographic. Because what could possibly go wrong? The reason I haven't made a full video like this yet is because Keystone loves making fun of documented videos, regardless of what they say. So let me make this clear. I'm not trying to ruin your group or take it down. This is about spreading awareness. And no, this isn't an expose video. The textbook definition of expose is to reveal the true, objectionable nature of someone or something. Most of what I'm talking about here is already known information and it's public. Nothing has really changed in the past year. Sure, some stuff has gone down, but when we look back at everything we gathered over the months, we barely noticed any changes. What has actually changed at Keystone? If you remember, we made a video playing bingo with Keystone. We filled up nearly every single spot. This video right here, that was only 4 months ago. Sure, that video was us messing around, but some of the stuff on here is actually wild. But you know what? Let's give Keystone the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they did change. To remind everyone, the player base for Keystone is kids. For God's sake, the game is literally called middle school. You might be wondering why that matters. Well... yeah, everything I showed happened within the span of about 1 to 2 months. Most of it in the same week. Now, obviously, there isn't a perfect solution to this. I'm not asking them to sit there moderating 24/7. That's quite literally impossible. But there are realistic things they could do. For example, adding better in-game reporting instead of pushing kids to Discord. Games like Roblox Got Talent have this type of system. They could also set up auto kits for certain behaviors, like how Rate Your Avatar 2 has that anti-backshot system, which, by the way, you really need. Or even just run regular sweeps, considering how most of this stuff happens right at spawn. Little changes like this will go a long way. Also, considering the fact that the owner only shows up to place a work at Keystone sign and instantly leaves is a bad look. And before anyone jumps into the comments like, it's just a game, it's just a game. No, it's not. Some of these people are directing underage kids outside of Keystone and onto other apps like Discord. To add on, these are real people. But why does this keep on happening? Or better yet, how? This is the only game I see where stuff like this is such a constant problem. I have talked to these weirdos to see why they were in Keystone, and they openly admitted that they're literally preying on minors. This isn't a rare incident either. Every single server I've gone to has had this issue. During sessions, it does calm down a bit, but it never really goes away. So what is the root cause here? I honestly wish I had an answer. Maybe these people are coming from the Hangout game, even though that's not really linked to the school anymore, which where credits due, they did fix that. So thank you for moving the Hangout to a different group. But what else could it be? I just wish I had an answer. That reminds me, you guys still bring up Justin. From everything I know, he was a total weirdo who actually worked at your group. God knows what he was doing there. And did you know this guy works at a real school too? Yeah, maybe do something about that concerning the info you have on him. Since we're on the topic of weirdos, it reminds me of a video I made not too long ago where someone was literally humping me and saying inappropriate comments to me, and I kept on asking staff to help, and you guys never did anything. Yes, I was joking at the time and I didn't feel like that uncomfortable, but that just gives all a bad look. Why did you not do anything? And hey, by the way, Katie, does that name sound familiar? Yeah, don't ever say that type of shit again. What the hell is wrong with you guys? She is a 30-year-old weirdo and I'm a minor. You are absolutely insane. I wish I remembered the context of this screenshot, but all I remember is that I 100% was not talking about whatever is on screen there. I went on an alt account to attend Keystone sessions, and judging from the sessions I did attend, it's not looking good for you guys. I've really thought that getting rid of Caleb would stop all the weird shootings and police roleplay stuff going on, but I guess not. Yeah, you heard me right. They're still doing the shooting stuff over and over again, multiple times in the same session usually, every single day. Sure, maybe there are some days where it just doesn't happen, but that doesn't change the fact that it still does happen, and it often does. Is this supposed to be a school or a prison? As my European friend puts it best, is Keystone just a stereotype of American schools? And by the way, this is all happening in the school game. I was looking on YouTube and seeing like videos of Keystone sessions, and I found a video where right after the gunshots they played Pump Up Kids. You knew exactly what you were doing. If you're trying to be funny, it's not working. And don't even get me started on them saying they're gang banging each other over the intercom as well, and then immediately doing a shooting event. This doesn't appeal to anyone. And by the way, what do you think you're doing? You might be wondering what's the issue here. It might just look like they're trying to honor the victims of a real school shooting. But this was the so-called event that they held in honor of those victims. Do you think this is some kind of joke? This is absolutely fucking distasteful. These are real people, real victims, real tragedies. Treating it like a promotion for some type of weird roleplay event is extremely inappropriate. If you want to acknowledge the tragedy, there are respectful ways of doing it, maybe a Discord announcement or something. But tying it into your game, which already evolved around school shootings, makes zero sense. And to make it worse, your sermon wasn't even about the tragedy at all. It was just baptizing wannabe gangsters. So why even bring it up in the first place? If this is your idea of honoring victims, it's disgusting. Topics like this deserve seriousness. And if you can't handle that, then just don't bring it up at all. Hello? This is common sense. My heart goes out to the families of the victim, to anyone affected by the tragedy. No one should have to experience something like that, especially out of school. Keystone, I'm just at a loss of words, honestly. By the way, the music is still uncensored. Didn't you say we're gonna fix that? I'm not gonna spend time on it because honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But Zach told me he would fix that, and he never did. So the intercom, woo, yeah, the intercom's never gonna change, and I don't even know why I'm still talking about it. Cause how else are they gonna keep people in game? So for people unaware, Keystone uses an unfiltered intercom. It's used to spam swearing, sexual jokes, and just inappropriate garbage, or just drugs. The issue is not the fact that the intercom is unfiltered, because I get why it's unfiltered. It's because at the 1 week where they had it filtered, they couldn't say anything. The issue is the people running it who don't use it responsibly. An unfiltered intercom can work if it's handled by mature people, but here it's just not. And what's worse is that they put more effort into being edgy on the intercom than they do their own branding or actually running the game. That says a lot. Speaking of branding, you guys literally stole someone's game icon, ran it through an AI filter, and then tried to pass it off as an AI mistake. For a group that actually has money, that's just embarrassing. It costs less than $10 to hire a GFX designer. Probably even cheaper depending on who you go to. But no, AI for everything. Because it takes a tiny bit of effort to make a simple poster. And by the way, I was able to recreate that exact poster in 5 minutes. It does not take that much effort. And look, if you don't want to pay someone, that's fine. Just make it yourself. It's not even that hard to learn basic GFX or photo editing skills. But instead, you would rather use AI slopped and pretend it's somehow original. You guys use AI to make announcements and speeches as well. Like, why? Speaking of stealing, this isn't even new. You guys have a pattern of it. In the original video, we pointed out that it might even be tied into your session with making easy money. I'm going to keep on mentioning your groups. I don't care. I don't care how it's not related to Keystone. I'm going to keep on mentioning your groups because you have a studio literally called Last Hope Studios and it's just slop. Hi, as I'm editing this video, I just found out that Crane has a group called Steady Eater Fan Club. Hopefully I pronounced that right. If you don't know, that's Blade's username. And if you look at the games, it's just all AI slop. And half of these games are probably stolen as well. So I just wanted to add that. Now, to be fair, when we talked to Zach, he did say that they make little to no money from sessions. I don't have much knowledge on how Roblox's money system thing works, and I don't want to sit here and make assumptions on how that works. Plus, half of whatever I remember from that conversation is fuzzy anyway, because most of those VCs will happen at midnight. This dude would DM me at 4 a.m. asking to voice chat. I'm not like you, where you just rot in your room all day. Okay, sorry, that was mean. I bet. And just to clear something out from the original video, that whole money thing was added in last second. We have been in that voice chat for hours randomly about random stuff, and that just happened to come up. So it was kind of just like a throwaway point and anything. So sorry if we got anything wrong from that money thing, but it's still kind of obvious that they're just doing all this stuff for money. Because why else would you be using AI for everything? I'm going to be really careful when I talk about this topic, but their Discord server might as well be called Dotspin with the amount of times I've seen people drop literal dotses, addresses, phone numbers, government names, you name it, and they probably got it in there. And a lot of the people whose personal info is getting spread, they're minors, actual kids. You're passing around children's personal information like it's nothing. Don't even try to argue that it's handled just because the messages get deleted. Delete down doesn't change the fact that we were posting in the first place. And sometimes it's not just like random people doing it. I have seen admins, higher ups doing it. So what happens then? Who holds them accountable? Kids don't know about internet safety. Instead of just letting them stick around and get exposed to this type of stuff, maybe teach them, or at the very least, stop unknowingly keeping kids in a server where this is happening. And speaking of staff, let's talk about who actually works for Keystone, because half of the people on their staff team are also in the Roblox military groups. The same people pretending to be fake soldiers are the ones running a middle school. Now, to be clear, I don't care if these people are roleplaying as like military officers or whatever. That's not the point. You can do whatever you want. The point is that these groups already have a reputation for the exact same problems that Keystone has, if anything worse. It's a pattern. That explains a lot about Keystone. We are planning to cover military groups more in depth in a future video. Just give us like a few more months to gather more info on these people. But based on what I've seen so far, they remind us a lot about Keystone. They also called me unprofessional, but how is what I did any different from what you guys already do? The only difference is rank and influence. You opened a ticket on me for playing gunshot noises over voice chat, yet you did the same thing, but it said it's an in-game audio. I built this place as if you match the professional label you're trying to force on staff. And that brings me to a bigger issue, the imbalance between staff and students. Staff are expected to be serious, care about their job, and hold a standard, but when they actually try to do that, they get nothing in return, because students can do whatever they want, while announcements are filled with random things about weed or off-topic nonsense. That disconnect completely undermines the whole idea of professionalism. And by the way, to this person specifically, just leave Keystone. The 100 Robux payment they give you isn't worth it. You usually take people who are either neurodivergent or kids who don't really know about what they're doing and turn them into lolcows for your own entertainment. And yeah, I'll admit, back then I laughed at it too. But when did you actually stop and think about it? That's messed up. Tell me, how was that funny? And to make things worse, some of these lolcows are weirdos. Why do you keep on bringing them back into your server or game? Lately, I'll give you credit. You have done a better job of keeping these people banned, but it doesn't excuse the fact that you sometimes let them back in for your own amusement. Anyone with common sense should know that you shouldn't be bringing weirdos into a game meant for kids. I am aware how most of the information I just gave you is old, but it doesn't excuse the fact that they still did it. Anyway, don't give me that we don't have a kids fan base talk. Yes, you do. If you didn't want that, maybe you shouldn't have made a middle school game in the first place. You got tons of other groups and games you could have focused on. Which brings me to another point. Some people in Keystone are adults, or at least right on the edge of being an adult. Some of your brains are literally fully developed, and yet you're still acting like kids. I'm not saying you can't have fun every now and then. If this is what you define as fun, that's just weird. Don't do this kind of stuff in a public chat or server if you don't want people criticizing that. A lot of the stuff I've mentioned is actually against your own handbook, which I still have access to, by the way. This is the same handbook you have admitted multiple times isn't really followed. So honestly, what's even the point of having it? Your enforcement is completely inconsistent and comes off as bipolar, to be honest. And to make stuff even more worse, Keystone is verified. It is a verified group. That's a problem considering most of the time you're breaking Roblox's own TOS. But am I blaming Keystone for it? No, because now the blame is shifting onto Roblox. They know what they're doing. They know about groups like Keystone. Instead of shutting them down, they just verify them. Does that make it okay? No, it just means Roblox is looking the other way like they always do. When Keystone's games did get taken down temporarily, one of their own admins literally said, and I quote, "Shadows ruined it for us, and some edgy people as well, and Roblox's failures." When the truth is that the games got taken down because of Keystone's own actions. You could have solved the issues, but you didn't. And you know what? They deserve Roblox taking down their games. They knew exactly what they were doing. Why did you have bathrooms in a hangout game? There's a reason why your games keep on getting taken down. And I get that Roblox is going after hangout games in general, but there's a reason why your game was a part of that group. Also, stop blaming other people for your actions. And before I forget, another admin admitted that the group's toxicity can actually scare people away. This isn't a flex. If your own admins are openly saying that your community is toxic enough to drive people away, that should be a wake-up call. If your group is so toxic that people don't even want to be a part of it, that's immature. You might be asking, how do you know all of this? Are you stalking Keystone? Are you a server? First of all, I have a Discord server with my friends, and when I search up Keystone on that server, just look how many results there are. We talk about Keystone all the time. I don't want to say I log everything, because I don't log everything. It's all in this one server. People I know are in the Keystone server, and when they open it up and go into chat, they literally see all this stuff. You guys do this stuff out in the open. It's not hard to find. And also, since we're on the topic of like my own Discord server or whatever, why is this in your game? This is actually in the game, by the way. It's in the sewer thing. Why is that there? I want answers. To make this clear, Keystone isn't the only group doing this. They're just one example of a bigger problem Roblox is dealing with currently. I have folders of just evidence and receipts from other groups doing the same shady stuff. The only reason I've been calling Keystone out more is because they're verified. The other groups have evidence and aren't popular enough to show up on Roblox's front page, but they aren't verified. I have to give credit where credit is due. The fact that Crane has been going to Keystone almost daily for years is insane. That's dedication right there. The sessions themselves are extremely boring, so the fact he's been able to keep doing this for so long is kind of impressive. Sure, he is making money off it, so I guess it's a part of the motivation. But even then, that kind of consistency is rare. Same goes for that admins and staff who regularly show up. But here's the problem. We can't be wholesome for long, so if you're always there, then you're also seeing everything that happens in your game. You can't just act like you don't know what's going on. You watch all this unfold. Everything, every single thing I mentioned in this video, you have seen with your own eyes. And you still haven't done anything about it. So, like, while it is impressive that you've been able to do this for so long, that just shows that you're ignoring everything that's been going on in your game. I am going a bit off script here, but I just really need to say this. It feels like some of you are too deep into defending Keystone to actually see what's going on. What I mean is that people will defend this group with their life and constantly dismiss any criticism, no matter how valid it is. I get how it's like the boy who cried wolf, but if there are this many documents, videos, and people consistently pointing out the same issues, that should be a sign. When we released the first video, I got full of DMs and pings of people saying I ruined Keystone, that I was spreading nonsense, or that nothing I said mattered. And not even just like Caleb and his friends or whoever, these were like random people. The truth is that the Keystone is like legit playing on you guys. On the surface, the group looks fine, it looks active, wherever, again, it's verified. I will keep on bringing that up, by the way. But when you go down the rabbit hole of Keystone, it's clear that it's not a good community, and these people are like terrible people. The people running it have shown time and time again that they're not good people and that they're very questionable. So if everything I said in this video doesn't, click with you, and you still think that Keystone's like some like perfect, great group, I don't know what to tell you. I already told you everything. I don't know what else to tell you. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. Hello? Hopefully Roblox takes accountability for what's happening on their platform and fixes everything, especially with all the lawsuits coming. This will probably be the only time I go this deep on Keystone. So pretty much I'm just over with Keystone. Unless they respond in some weird way or whatever. Keystone isn't the only group doing this. There are plenty more out there, and we'll be covering them slowly. We still have to get more information and all that. But one last thing before I call it quits or whatever. Don't DM me. Don't ask me to go into a voice chat to talk things out. None of that. If you really cared about fixing your game and your group and whatever, you wouldn't have to talk to me or anyone else involved with the making of this. You should be just fixing the issues yourselves. You don't need to have me tell you what the issue is. If you want to change things, go do it. And by the way, don't open a ticket either, because I'm not going to talk in a ticket. If you keep on pinging me, I will probably just tell you to shut up and don't talk to me. Just fix the issues. I gave you all the problems. Now you got to make your own solutions.
It's live TV, you meddling nerd.